Hello, welcome to today's webinar on integrating Google tools for nonprofits with your fundraising event technology. Nice to see you guys today. I'm Johanna. I'm from GiveSignup, RunSignup, and I'm going to be joined today by Sean Flanagan and Barry Martin from the Idea Center. They're going to get introduced in just a minute, but you can see them on your screen now and get excited. What we're going to talk about today, just a little quick introduction to GiveSignup, RunSignup if you are new to our webinars. Some information from the Idea Center on tools that nonprofits can use from Google, including Google Workspace for nonprofits, YouTube nonprofit program, Google Ad Grants, Google Analytics, and Google Search Console. And then I'm going to show you guys a couple of places that you can use those tools in your existing GiveSignup fundraising events and get started with them quickly. Welcome to GiveSignup, RunSignup. This is quick if you're familiar with us. Our goal is to provide best-in-class technology to elevate nonprofits' revenue generation and supporter engagement. What that means is we build technology that is specifically for nonprofits. It's focused in two kind of areas. One is fundraising events, which can be either a run, walk, ride, which is where the RunSignup side comes in, or a ticket event like a gala or a pancake breakfast. The other side of technology that we offer is online giving. So that can be just simple donation form, donation website, or online peer-to-peer or DIY fundraising. We're built on the technology of RunSignup, but have kind of expanded into more GiveSignup nonprofit technology. This is kind of a basic understanding of what tools we offer and what people they are generally geared towards. If you look on the left-hand side there, our nonprofit tools go from ticket events, any sort of simple ticket buying process that you need that has donations integrated into the process. Fundraising campaigns, which can be year-round or standalone campaigns, DIY and peer-to-peer fundraising, and any type of online donation forms and websites. From there, we also have memberships and registration for Run, Walk, Rides. Those products are available both to nonprofits and to for-profit endurance events, and then some additional tools specifically for endurance events. Our platform is built on an all-in-one supporter engagement platform. And what that means is that you have access to the data from all of your supporters in different types of events and different types of interactions, including when they make a donation to you, when they fundraise for an event, when they attend an event, keeps all of their data closely tied together so you can access it easily, and you can easily connect that data to the other platforms that you use. One thing that we think is really important is your mission is always first. Anytime, we're going to talk a lot today about the websites that you can have for your events. Anytime we have websites like that, your branding is what they see, it's not ours. You have control to make sure that your mission is what's seen. And I think we're going to turn it over to the Idea Center.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Barry Martin, President and Creative Director here at the Idea Center. Been doing this for a while. Started back in 1995 when the internet was like kind of new. And I remember back in the day working with a lot of nonprofits that were doing mail was the main way to reach people back then. So it's kind of funny to see how things have evolved over the years. I love digital marketing because it has saved my clients so much money from printing and postage, and the ability to really target in on your audience and keep your existing audience engaged. It's easier than ever. So we're going to be talking specifically about Google today. So as you see on our slide here, we always say we're partners, not vendors, and we're actually Google partners too for a very specific reason. So the #1 search on Bing, according to my teenage son, is Google. So Google is the behemoth, and so that's what we put a lot of our focus with digital marketing on. So there's tools available. We love working with nonprofits. We do have local nonprofits that we work with. We've got some national nonprofits and international. So we understand the challenges that there can be with convincing a board that you need to spend budget on marketing and how you're going to show a return on investment, how you're going to keep your donors engaged, how you're going to attract new donors and new sponsors. So this is something we're very, very familiar with. I love working with nonprofits because, as you see by our tagline, we are marketing with a mission. We are all about trying to help make the world a better place. We want to work with people we like, organizations we like, people we believe in. So I am very, very fortunate to have a strong staff around me. So we actually are a full service ad agency. I mean, we do TV and radio and billboards and all the other things, but digital marketing is the most cost effective, best way to keep your audience engaged and reach new people. So Sean is our digital marketing expert here at the Idea Center. He's been with me almost 4 years now. Very, very knowledgeable when it comes to making the most of Google. We've been able to access Google grants, which Sean will get into a little bit here in the presentation, but just wanted to say thanks for joining today. Thanks for your time. And Sean, you can just kind of take it from here.
Hey everyone, so like Barry said, I'm Sean. I'm Digital Marketing Manager here at the Idea Center. And let's just jump into it. Today we're going to be talking about Google for Nonprofits, kind of some specific programs that Google for Nonprofits has underneath them, including Google Workspace for Nonprofits, the YouTube Nonprofit Program, and Google Ad Grants. And then we're going to get a little bit into Google Analytics, kind of how to set it up, and what to really look out for to measure engagement and just users, the usability of your website, as well as Google Search Console. And a lot of that has to do with understanding queries and how people are searching and what people are searching into Google, and how they're finding your nonprofit, as well as how to set that up. So let's just dive right into it. Like I said, we're going to be talking about Google for Nonprofits first. So kind of an overview of what Google for Nonprofits is. It's a program specifically created by Google to help nonprofits kind of maximize their potential online without having barriers and hurdles to jump over. The one big hurdle you're going to have to jump over with Google for Nonprofits is just your eligibility on the program. So when we talk about eligibility, it's basically just making sure that you are a nonprofit, you are who you say you are. You're a 503c or 501c, and you're not a government entity or organization, a hospital, healthcare organization, a school, academic institution, or university. If you're a foundation associated with any of these things, it's completely fine. But really, they just want to make sure that you are a nonprofit. You're not a for-profit institution. So when you apply to Google for Nonprofits, there's going to be a couple questions they're going to ask you. How big is your nonprofit? You're going to have to fill out an eligibility form. So just make sure you have a couple things on hand, like your nonprofit ID, physical address, and your online contact information. And we're going to talk about kind of, I think, what really is the main workflow benefit and organizational benefit for Google for Nonprofits. And that's their workspace. So we all are probably familiar with Google Sheets, Google Docs, the basic tools you get with any Gmail account you set up or Google account you set up. For businesses, Google offers a kind of an extended reach of services, but with businesses, we have to pay Google. So instead of having 10 gigabytes of space on our Google Drive, businesses pay to have 2 terabytes of space or however much space they want. Now with nonprofits, a lot of that stuff is free, and all you really have to do to get that is be eligible and apply to Google for Nonprofits. So what Google Workspace for Nonprofits gives you is a custom email as your own domain. First and foremost, that's the most professional way you can have your email address set up, right? Is just to have it as your website. We talk about brand consistency a lot. A big part of that is just making sure that everyone you're connecting with and contacting with, they know that you're from that nonprofit organization and they can track it back to your website. It also allows you to have video meetings with up to 100 participants. So if that's something you guys are doing, continuously, I know we're using Zoom and Microsoft Teams and all that stuff a lot. If you have a big nonprofit, having up to 100 participants is a big deal. Allows you to have everyone up in the same room at the same time. It also gives you 30 gigabytes of cloud storage per user, which is a big deal when you're talking about, just kind of digital media in general. Having a place to store all of that stuff, especially now when a lot of people are working from home, it's not on their hard drives and they don't have to go buy an external hard drive or anything like that. You can just put it into Google Drive and everyone can access it at the same time. So really, Google Workspace for Nonprofits is all about workflow and keeping things tidy in your organization. working smoothly. So I mentioned these tools. Other than that, you'll get the standard, the Gmail, the Drive, Google Meet, Google Calendar, Google Chat, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides. All of this stuff is extremely useful. It all allows people to work on things concurrently at the same time. So again, just kind of having a tidy organization and workflow. It's a big deal with Google Workspace for nonprofits. Also, if all that didn't really sound too useful or good to you, they also have pricing plans available if you need a bit more. So you can see it on the chart right here. Business standard, they take 75% off standard pricing. So you'd only be paying $3 a month for upgraded usage, like 2 terabyte cloud storage per user, or 150 people in your video meetings, and so on and so forth with Business Plus and Enterprise. The second thing we want to talk about today is the YouTube nonprofit program. So within Google for Nonprofits, they have a variety of different tools and programs that you can use to just kind of maximize your potential online. One of those things is the YouTube nonprofit program. Basically what it does is it allows you to create a YouTube account with some extended features. The features, I think, are best expressed through their Creative Academy, a course that's specifically designed for participants like yourself, nonprofits. If you've ever used anything like lynda.com or just YouTube for general knowledge, the YouTube Creator Academy has a course specifically designed to teach nonprofits about how to use video marketing, what kind of video marketing to use, what should your content look like online, how are you best represented online. And that's really what it's all about, is making sure that you can convey your message to people over the internet. And again, we talk about using YouTube to amplify your story. With the Idea Center, a lot of our focus is on video marketing, and video marketing is done a lot for the nonprofits we work with. Besides nonprofits, we'll work with medical and in the power industry. And a big driver that gets people to trust the company without even really meeting them in person is just video testimonials, or just video of your nonprofit and your organization doing your thing. So kind of want to show you an example of a nonprofit we worked with, Henrico Casa, which is a part of the larger chair of National Casa. Just going to show you a quick snippet of this video so you can kind of understand, maybe have an outline for a potential video you guys want to do, or anything like that.
We are proud to be celebrating 25 years of providing advocacy services for children in Henrico County. We currently have over 100 volunteers. They are the ones who are out there in the community, meeting with the children, meeting with the professionals, meeting with the family members. So they really are the extension of our staff.
Within Henrico Casa, you're making an immediate difference in a child's life. You are serving as a voice that uplifts the voice of the child or children that you're serving. You become their voice and their advocate in the courtroom. CASA serve in cases where there's allegations of abuse, neglect, or change. You may have a child that's in need of services. We've also served on foster care or kinship relative placement care cases. Everyone is just passionate about what they do, and for CASA to dedicate so much work to the cases that they serve.
So this is a pretty general video kind of what security does. It gives a nice overview, and within the first 57 seconds, you understand what Henrico Casa is, what they're trying to accomplish, and what they either A, need donations for, or B, need volunteers for. So the power of video really comes from the ability to tell a story. And just to get people to understand your cause, your organization, and how they can help you improve or keep working. So the next thing we want to talk about is Google Ad Grants, and this is the third umbrella we want to kind of get into with Google for Nonprofits. It's probably I would say the most useful one. We've been working with nonprofits for a number of years, And Google Ad Grants is something that we always keep an eye on, and we always want to tell our clients about, because it's pretty much free money. So what Google Ad Grants is if you qualify, of course, and are eligible for it, you'll get a $10,000 a month stipend to advertise on Google search. That's not going to mean that you can advertise on YouTube or advertise display, which is just image ads, but the ability to advertise on Google search practically for free every month is a huge benefit in trying to drive volunteers and donations, because you can basically advertise for it. I mean, if you need volunteers, if it's a seasonal thing for your organization, say in the summer you guys need more volunteers than you guys would in the need in the winter, you can run Google ads on search and have keywords targeted to find volunteers. We're not going to get into too much about how Google Ads actually works, because that would be a much longer webinar. But it's a good thing to know, and it's probably the first thing that you should look for when you sign up for Google Works or Google for Nonprofits. There's going to be certain rules you'll have to comply with, being a nonprofit, to get the stipend, but it's kind of a bit more technical. It really just focuses on keeping your account maintained, and the account isn't that hard to maintain. So as long as you apply, they should reach back to you within 14 days, maybe within a month at the latest, and then you'll have to activate your ad grant, and then if you're deemed eligible, you can begin setting up your campaign. And here's some examples. This is just a quick Google search I did a couple days ago. I just searched volunteer opportunities near me, which is a common keyword for college students or anyone like high school students who are looking for opportunities. So here's an ad from girltalk.org. You can see that they have all the abilities and extensions of a normal Google search ad, except they're a nonprofit, so they're probably using Google Ad Grants. It's, you know, as a user, you can't really tell the difference, I guess is what I'm getting at. And it's just a great way to have awareness, even if the donation or volunteers don't come through. I've attached some links to get started here. I know Joanna said that this PowerPoint we sent out to y'all, so I just want to make sure you guys had links. The first one is Google for Nonprofits. That's the webpage you'll need to go to begin setting up Google for Nonprofits. It's a pretty easy application. Just make sure you have the things on hand that I mentioned before. There's a link for Google Ad Grants, and there's a link for Google Ad Grants Compliance Guide, which goes into a bit more of the technical aspects I mentioned earlier as well, and then a link to the YouTube Nonprofit Program. So next we'll get into Google Analytics and Google Search Console. So we're going to start with Google Analytics. The big question is, what is Google Analytics, right? You know, you kind of see it, and it's just charts and data. Well, it allows you to collect data on how people use your website. So that's the most important thing you can have from kind of an actionability standpoint. When you have all these metrics and all this data, you can look in and say, okay, well, we need to have more people use the website. How do we do that? Let's use our Google Analytics data as a baseline. So it's always a good thing to have. It's always a good thing to show partners when you're looking to either improve your website or just improve your online presence. So you'll be able to see key metrics, just like how many people visit your website, which they call users, how many times people visit your website, which is called sessions, how long people stay on your website on average session duration is what they call that, how many pages people view on your website on average, that's average pages per session, and how people navigate through your website. The two ones I really want to highlight are the third and fourth ones. These are two metrics we use all the time just to get a gauge on if people enjoy using the website. Is the website functional? People throw the term UX around a lot, which is just user experience. You know, what is the user experience of your website? Are users happy? Do they know where to click? You know, do they know where to go if they want to give you a donation? Do they know how to get in touch with you? So how long people stay on your website on average, they'll put that into minutes or seconds. And generally we see a good average session duration time for nonprofits around 2 minutes. So once you've installed Google Analytics and you have all this data and you notice your average session duration is maybe not close to 2 minutes, maybe it's at 50 seconds, you can use that data and say, well, it looks like we want to keep people more involved with the website as they're using it. how do we do that? Maybe that's more content. Maybe that's just longer pages or videos, you know. So you can use this data to inform your decisions and inform how people perceive you online. That's another one that kind of goes concurrently with that. How many pages people view on your website on average? You know, are people scrolling through your website, or are they just going to one page and leaving? If people are just going to one page and leaving and not leaving a donation or maybe signing a volunteer form, going after what we call key performance indicators or KPIs that you set, then that's when you know we might have to make a fix. We might have to change some things on the website, change the content up, make things a bit more attention grabbing. So Google Analytics allows you to have this baseline of data, which you can then use to take action and improve your performance online. This is just a quick screen grab of a chart that Google Analytics has. This is just kind of the audience overview. So here you can kind of see these metrics, the number of users versus the number of new users, sessions, number of sessions per user, page views, pages per session, average session duration, bounce rate. So when we look at these numbers, we say, okay, the bounce rate is 81.25%. Now, bounce rate is a metric that determines how many people view more than one page on your website before leaving. So it looks like 81% of the people going to this website are leaving after they visit just one page. So you can look at that as a data point and say, we need to improve, we need to get this bounce rate lower. How do we get people to check out more pages on the website? How do we, again, increase the UX of the website? Same goes for average session duration, pages per session. So data is just a great thing to have. You guys probably have it on all of your organizational aspects besides the digital factor of it. And that's what Google Analytics allows you to have. So I'm going to go into how to set up Google Analytics. I think a lot of people look at Google Analytics and Google Search Console and just website stuff in general and get scared, but don't be, it's not too hard. The first thing you're going to want to do is create your account at analytics.google.com. It's pretty straightforward. You'll be prompted to enter in information. One word of advice I do have: make your account name your organization's name and your property name your website domain name, so you can kind of differentiate between the two. So the account would be called Your Charity and the property name would be www.com, yourcharity.com. So after you create an account, you'll see a prompt that says set up a data stream. Select web as your platform and then name your data stream. So you can kind of see in the images below what you'll be looking at after you create your account. So if you're on website only, it's good to just have website. If you have an iOS app or an Android app, ask us a question about it and we'll try to answer it as best we can. So once you set up your data stream, you can just click create stream, and you should land on a page like the one on the bottom left. That just means basically it gives you your measurement ID, stuff you don't necessarily need to know about. What you do want to look for is that little header that says tagging instructions. This is the code that you'll need to implement onto your website to actually be able to track stuff in Google Analytics. Now for this step, unless you're web savvy and already know how to implement code into the header of your website, I suggest you reach out to either your web development team or a web developer in general and get them to add the code to your website. Websites are finicky. There's a lot of different CMSs out there. You know, it really depends if you guys are using WordPress, Squarespace, Wix. There's a host of them. So just make sure that you are familiar with adding code to the head of your website if you're doing it yourself, or you have another option to call on if you don't have experience. Next, we're going to take a look at Google Search Console. Google Search Console and Google Analytics are both great ways to get baselines on how people perceive you online. Google Search Console in particular allows you to see what people actually type into Google to get to your website. So we find this useful for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons is that we can actually measure and see how people are getting to the website. So Google Analytics measures the baseline you're at with your website already. Google Search Console shows you how people get to that website. So it'll show you performance, impressions, clicks, Again, queries. Now, understanding queries is a big part of really just understanding how people perceive you online. Sometimes it might be a hard truth. Sometimes you might be getting keywords that don't relate to your website or your organization at all, and you can't understand why people are landing on your website after seeing those queries. But the important thing to focus on is what we call branded versus non-branded keywords. Branded keywords are keywords like the ones you see in this box where it says Henrico Casa, Casa Richmond, Virginia, Casa Henrico, Casa Richmond Casa. Those are all what we call branded keywords because you can tell that people are looking for Henrico Casa when they search these things in. So you can tell that someone's looking for Casa. If you can tell that someone's looking for your brand or your organization, then you can label that as a branded keyword. What you really want to see is non-branded keywords. So for an example for Henrico Casa as a non-branded keyword, it would just be charity Richmond or charity Henrico. When you type that in, you're not sure what charity you want to land on, but you're probably what we call a hot prospect looking for a charity to either donate your time to or donate your money to. For volunteer opportunities as well, just like the keyword you saw in the Google Ad Grant slide where I just typed in volunteer opportunities near me. That would be considered a non-branded keyword because I have no idea who I'm looking for. I know I'm looking to perform an action, which is to give volunteer hours to an organization, but I don't have a particular preference on who I give it to, or maybe I'm just in the research stage of trying to find an organization. So once you separate your branded keywords and your non-branded keywords, you can really tell what to work on website performance-wise. So say you want to drive more volunteers to your website, and you want to drive volunteers who don't already know who you are. And you see that maybe you have some clicks with volunteer opportunities near me or certain non-branded keywords in that vernacular. And you say, okay, well, I want to get more people to my website who are looking to donate volunteer hours. At that point, you would need to consider, how do I get these people to my website that are looking for volunteer opportunities? Maybe that's creating a page specifically for volunteer opportunities on your website, making sure that people understand, hey, this is the volunteer section of the website. This is where you can learn all about what it's like to be a volunteer at our organization. And here's where you can learn all about how to apply to be a volunteer for this organization. We're going to go into how to set up Google Search Console now. And the reason we talked about Google Analytics first is because once you have Google Analytics set up, it is super easy to set up Google Search Console. So you want to go to this link, search.google.com/search console/about. If you just type in search.google.com, you'll just land on google.com. So just make a note of that. Once you get there, you just want to click Start Now, and you should see the screen that I screenshotted below. There's two ways to start on Google Search Console. One is through domain verification, and one is through URL prefix. To keep things simple, we want to go through URL prefix. Domain verification involves getting into your hosting and server company, and that can be kind of a hassle sometimes. So the easiest way is to just go with the URL prefix version of the verification. So once you click that, you'll have to verify your ownership. So what you want to do is, since you've already created your Google Analytics account, you want to verify via the Google Analytics option. So you're just going to see this screen and you're going to scroll down. It's going to say use your Google Analytics account. By the time you get to Google Search Console, your tracking code should already be in the head section of your page, and you should, as an owner of the Google Analytics property, have the edit permission. So all you need to do is click verify and you're done. I know that was kind of brief and a little quick overview of all those things, but if you have any questions, fire away and I'll be happy to answer them.
I don't see any questions in yet, but we will leave that questions box open. So if we get some in for Sean through the next section, we can still come back to him at the end to ask as well.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
So I'm just quickly going to go through a couple of different places that you can use some of the tools that Sean just talked about in your existing fundraising events on GiveSignup or RunSignup. First, this is super simple and easy. The YouTube for nonprofits, if you have a YouTube channel at all, we highly recommend using those videos on your websites. Any of your run, walk, ride websites, your ticket event websites, or your donation websites, all of those have a place where you can include video automatically on your website. It's really simple and easy, and it's a good way to really highlight the story that you're telling. On the right-hand side there, it's what it's going to look like as a full page. You'll just see kind of a little header and a play button, and then when someone clicks on that to play, it's going to pop it out in a nice full video so that they can actually get a little bit better interaction with you. The one that we have featured there, the drumstick dash from 2020, had to go virtual at the very last minute this year, and they did a really nice job of putting together some great videos and photos from people who participated to really talk about how it was fun and a good experience anyway. When you're setting that up, the exact menu path is slightly different depending on which type of GiveSignup, RunSignup website you're working with. It's super easy to find either way though. You don't really need to worry about navigating through the full menu. On any of your websites, on that dashboard that you have, there's going to be a search bar that I think is very often overlooked. You can type anything in there that is essentially what you're looking for on your dashboard, and it's going to pull it right up for you. So if you start typing cover page in there, that's the front page of your website, and it's going to pull it right up to allow you to add the different features on it. When you want to add the video, it's just a little plus sign on your little dashboard for cover pages. It's going to give you a couple of different types of options of segments that you want to add to your website. When you go to the video one, that's going to give you the option to put in the YouTube video. How you're going to do that is you're going to go back to your YouTube channel. You're just going to right click on the video that you are looking at. You want to include, copy the video URL, and then you're going to paste that into the YouTube ID. A fun little note here, on the actual website back end, it's going to ask you specifically for the ID, which is just that string of numbers, not the full URL. But don't worry about it. You can copy just the string of numbers and letters, or you can copy the full URL. If you paste it in there, it's going to fix it for you and just include the ID that you need. There we go. Google Analytics. So I highly recommend going through the full process to set up a Google Analytics actual account. However, if you haven't done that yet and you still want to get some data on people who've been visiting specifically your fundraising event website, there is actually a way to do that for Run Walk Rides. You won't get the full data that Sean was able to show you from this process, but it's a good way to get started if you don't have your Google Analytics account set up yet. On your dashboard from the promotion menu, you can just go to the Google Analytics tab. And what that's going to do is it's going to show you the traffic sources and some light e-commerce data in terms of who is how much donations and registrations dollars have come from different sources. It's going to look kind of like this. So it'll just be a quick look at where people are coming from to get to your registration website. A lot of people, if you are linking from a main website, if you have your own nonprofit website, you may see that as a high source. You're going to see direct traffic if someone is typing in your URL directly, or if you're sending out an email link directly to your registration page. Search engines, I'd expect to see Google high on there, as well as any other sort of referral traffic like a event calendar that you may be on, and generally we see Facebook pretty high on that list. One other thing you can do is once you've set up your Google Analytics account fully, you can actually use that account to track the traffic on your GiveSignup, RunSignup websites as well. So that same code that Sean showed you how to find, you don't have to go into the back end and put it in your header. Here, this is set up to do that automatically. So you'll pull out the data that matches the little bolded area there, and you're going to put that into the tracking code there, and then that will allow us to track through your Google Analytics account. If you don't have your separate website, it's all simple and easy. There's one other step that you may want some help with if you were trying to track our registration site along with your main website. So the tips for that, if you are tracking on your main website and you also want to track on your GiveSignup, RunSignup website, you're going to want to set up cross-domain measurement. That allows Google Analytics to know that if someone was on your website and then they came to your registration website, that user is connected and that is the same person that they're looking at. That step we'll send out the instructions along with this, but that probably will require a developer as well, just to make sure that you're entering all of that correctly. You also want to have e-commerce reporting turned on in your Google Analytics account. That's pretty straightforward to do, but if that's turned on, then it will automatically track the conversion on your RunSignup page when they get through the registration process. Last note, adding your site-wide code for Google Ads to your GiveSignup, RunSignup website. It's pretty straightforward. The process is pretty simple to what you are doing for the Google Analytics tracking. But if you're running ads to your registration site, you want to do that so that you can make sure that you are following what's happening from those ads. And I think that is it. We'll give one more minute if there are any questions that people have. And if not, you can always follow up with us after for questions as well. I think we look good. Thank you, Sean and Barry, for joining us today. Hope people got some new ideas for some ways to use Google a little bit more efficiently.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much
having
for the opportunity. Very nice to meet you.